Hey there, friends. Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into what it means to live a long, vibrant life. Before we get started, drop a comment below and let us know where you're tuning in from. Are you in sunny Florida, the heart of Texas, or maybe cozying up in New England? We love hearing from you. Today, we're talking about something that hits close to home for so many of us: loneliness, happiness, and how they might just be the key to how long we live. You might be thinking, wait, I thought smoking or diet was the big deal. Well, hold on to your hats, because a new study is turning that idea on its head. It's saying that feeling lonely or unhappy could age you faster than lighting up a cigarette. Yeah, you heard that right. So, grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's unpack this together. This one's for all of us over 50 who want to make every year count. Now, let's set the stage. Picture this. You're at a family barbecue, surrounded by laughter, grandkids running around, and that warm feeling of being connected. Or maybe you're sitting alone at home, scrolling through Facebook, wishing you had someone to call. Those moments, both the joyful and the quiet ones, aren't just fleeting. They might actually be shaping how long you stay vibrant and healthy. That's what researchers found in a massive study out of China. And it's got some big lessons for us here in the US. The study looked at nearly 12,000 folks, all 45 and older people like you and me, who've lived through a few decades and know a thing or two about life's ups and downs. These researchers didn't just ask how people were feeling, they went deep. They took blood samples, dug into medical histories, and asked about social lives and mental health. Then they used something called an aging clock, a fancy statistical model that figures out your biological age, not just how many candles were on your last birthday cake. Biological age is about how old your body feels. And trust me, that can be a lot different from the number on your driver's license. Here's where it gets wild. Feeling lonely or unhappy didn't just make people feel down, it aged them by 1.65 years biologically. Compare that to smoking, which aged people by 1.25 years. Let that sink in. Being lonely or sad could hit your body harder than a pack-a-day habit. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, really? But this isn't just one study pulling our leg. Other research backs it up. And we're gonna dig into that too. Because this is about more than numbers. It's about how we live our life. Let's talk about why this matters to us. If you're over 50, you've probably had moments where you felt disconnected. Maybe the kids moved across the country, or you're retired and miss the daily chatter at the office. Maybe you've lost a spouse or a close friend, and the world feels a little quieter. Those feelings, they're not just in your head. This study says they're leaving a mark on your body, speeding up the clock in ways we can't always see. But here's the flip side. Surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, who make you laugh, who remind you that you're not alone, that could be like a fountain of youth. Now, let's break down the study a bit more. The researchers didn't just look at loneliness. They checked out other things that age us, like smoking, or having had a stroke, liver disease, or lung problems. Those all sped up aging too. No surprise there. But what stood out was how psychological factors show we feel about our lives came out on top as some of the biggest drivers. One of the study's co-authors, Manuel Faria from Stanford, put it beautifully. Mental and psychosocial states are some of the most robust predictors of health outcomes and quality of life. In other words, your mindset and your connections aren't just nice-to-haves. They're as critical as watching your cholesterol or getting your steps in. But here's a little asterisk. The aging clock they used? It's a model, not a crystal ball. It predicts how fast you're aging based on data, but it doesn't follow people to see if loneliness actually leads to an earlier goodbye. And some of the researchers were tied to a company called Deep Longevity, which builds these aging clocks. That's a potential conflict of interest, so we've got to take it with a grain of salt. Still, the findings line up with what other studies have been saying for years. And that's what makes this so compelling. Let's zoom out and look at some of those other studies, because they paint a picture that's hard to ignore. One study here in the US looked at about 17,000 adults, mostly middle-aged. and found that social isolation is more common than you might think. About 17% of women and 21% of men said they felt isolated. What caused it? Things like being unmarried or not being part of a church or community group. And the kicker? Isolation was linked to a 62% higher risk of dying early for women and a 75% higher risk for men. That's not just a statistic, it's a wake-up call. Another study went global, checking out nearly 120,000 people across 20 countries. It found social isolation was more common among women, older folks, city dwellers, and those with less education or no job. Across the board, being isolated raised the risk of early death by 26%, and it was even worse in wealthier countries like ours. Why? Maybe because we're so busy, so connected online, but sometimes so disconnected in real life. We've got neighbors we've never met, and friends we only text. Sound familiar? Then there's a study of over 35,000 older adults that dug into why isolation might hurt us. It found a 22% higher risk of early death for those who were isolated, but a lot of that tied back to age and health problems. If you're dealing with arthritis or can't get around easily, it's harder to get out and see people. It's like a vicious cycle. Health issues make you isolated, and isolation makes your health worse. But here's the thing, we can break that cycle. So, what does this all mean for us? Sitting here in 2025, looking at the years ahead, it means we've got some power in our hands. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a health risk, right up there with smoking or skipping your annual checkup. But unlike some things, like genetics, we can do something about it. We can pick up the phone, join a book club, or invite a neighbor over for pie. We can find our people, whether it's at church, a senior center, or even a local pickleball game. And when we do, we're not just making memories, we're adding years to our lives. Let's get real for a second. If you're over 50, you know life isn't always a Hallmark movie. Maybe you're in a small town where it's hard to meet new people. Or you're in a big city but feel lost in the crowd. Maybe you never married, or you're divorced, and the idea of starting over socially feels daunting. The study pointed out that living in rural areas or never marrying can speed up aging too. And that's not to shame anyone, it's just data showing us where we might need a little extra effort. Wherever you are, whatever your story, you're not stuck. You can take small steps to build connections, and those steps add up. Think about the last time you felt truly connected. Maybe it was a heart-to-heart with an old friend, or a moment at a family reunion where you laughed until your sides hurt. Those moments aren't just warm fuzzies, they're medicine. They're telling your body, hey, we're okay. We've got people in our corner. And that's what this study is shouting from the rooftops. Your social life, your happiness, your sense of belonging, they're not extras. They're essentials. No, I'm not saying it's easy. If you're feeling lonely, it can feel overwhelming to reach out. You might worry about rejection or think, I don't even know where to start. But here's a little nudge. Start small. Call someone you haven't talked to in a while. Check out a local event. Maybe there's a craft fair or a veterans group meeting. If you're part of a church, lean into that community. If you're not, try something new, like a gardening club or a walking group. The key is to show up, even when it feels awkward. You don't have to be the life of the party, just be there, and the connections will come. And let's talk about happiness for a minute. The study didn't just point to loneliness, it called out being unhappy as a big factor. What makes you happy? Is it spending time with your grandkids? Tinkering in the garage? Listening to Johnny Cash on vinyl? Whatever it is, make time for it. Carve out space for the things that light you up, because that joy isn't just a mood, it's fuel for a longer, healthier life. I want to circle back to something cultural for us Americans. We're a nation of doers, right? We're proud of pulling ourselves up by our bootstraps, of being independent. But this study is a reminder that independence doesn't mean going it alone. We're built for community, whether it's a backyard barbecue, a tailgate party, or a Sunday potluck. Our strength isn't just in standing tall, it's in standing together. So, let's lean into that. Let's rebuild the village, one conversation, one shared laugh at a time. As we wrap up, I want to leave you with a challenge. This week, reach out to someone. It could be a friend you haven't seen in years, A neighbor you wave to but never talk to? Or even a family member you've been meaning to call? Make that connection. And if you're feeling brave, try something new. Join a group, sign up for a class, or just strike up a chat at the coffee shop. You're not just fighting loneliness, you're investing in your future, in the years you'll spend with the people you love. Thank you so much for watching, friends. This one's been a big one, hasn't it? If this video hit home for you, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so we can keep these conversations going. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's one thing you're going to do this week to connect with someone? We're reading every single one, and we can't wait to hear from you. Until next time, take care, stay connected, and keep living your best life. See you soon.